What is one to make of the Wells Fargo ethical dilemma that led to the bank paying a $100 million fine to the Consumer Finance Protection Board, the largest in the agency's short history? Add to that another $35 million to the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency and $50 million to the City and County of Los Angeles, and the fines totaled to $185 million. The fines were assessed based upon the bank's conduct of opening over 2 million phantom bank and credit card accounts, usually without customers' knowledge. The scandal was as straightforward as one can imagine. It involved the sales of simple to understand, simple to use products such as credit and debit cards, coupled with traditional banking services such as car and home loans. These products were cross-sold to customers with an aggressive sales incentive program, which determined not only employees' compensation but whether they even kept their jobs. What began as a legitimate, legal, and beneficial business strategy became not only high risk but illegal because of the way Wells Fargo administered its approach to cross selling. As with any sales incentive, if a company wants to push it, it will set up incentives to engage in such behavior, increasing commissions around the service or product being emphasized. Almost any product or service can present a substantial legal and reputational risk if not properly managed. Moreover, Wells Fargo seemed to have forgotten that a bank's reputation is built on a basic cultural value of trust. People trust that their money will be there when they go to take it out. From the earliest days of banking in the West, the institutions succeeded because customers believed their money was safe. Former CEO John seemed as out of touch as the head of a multi-billion-dollar corporation could be when he announced that the fraud was the fault of 5,300 employees who were terminated. He initially failed to accept any responsibility for creating a culture where employees had to cheat by creating false accounts just to keep their jobs. It was not until the banking committee hearing in which he admitted responsibility for the failure. Unfortunately, he admitted that he had known about the scandal since 2013 and the company's board had known about it since 2014. Wells Fargo had not even suspended the sales compensation plan that led to this fiasco, keeping it open until the end of the year. It was not until much later, when public pressure mounted after the House Banking Committee grilled the CEO, that the bank suspended its cross-selling sales incentive program. One of the more remarkable facets of the Wells Fargo case is that the company had been aware since at least 2009 of the fraudulent cross-selling by its employees. In 2010, the bank found from employee satisfaction surveys that employees were uncomfortable with the sales target of the product cross-selling. In 2012, the bank further internally investigated the fraudulent practices. In 2013, the Los Angeles Times broke the story publicly. This is when former CEO stated that he was first informed of the scandal, yet he waited a year to inform the company's board of directors. Every manager should study the Wells Fargo case for the valuable lessons to be learned. Some of the simplest and the most effective are: number one, if employees raise their hands to speak up, they must be taken seriously. Letting any problem, no matter how insignificant or non-material, fester over many years is a recipe of disaster and may well also draw increased regulatory scrutiny. Number two, design incentives with care. The company will get the behavior it incentivizes. Number three, risk management is an ongoing, not an annual or one-time process. Number four, it is not simply at the top but also in the middle and the bottom that drives culture. The question now is what makes an employee more likely to lock up their moral compass, even if temporarily? Understanding how such unethical behavior arose in the first place can point to practical steps to avoid it and the reputational damage that goes along with it. So, here are three explanations that may have left employees at the bank susceptible to unethical behavior. Number one, they feel pressured. One morality diminishing factor that was likely at play at Wells Fargo was the presence of overly aggressive goals. In the face of hard to reach objectives, Wells Fargo's great campaign, people are more likely to become morally disengaged and to consider cheating to make the grade. Number two, they think it's just business. Another factor can be an it's just business mentality, which can eliminate personal feelings, values, and ethics from professional situations. Wells Fargo employees may have seen their behaviors as justified by simple cost benefit analysis, where each new account opened benefited them with presumably negligible harm to clients. Number three, they separate their lives at work from their lives at home. Another factor in unethical behavior has to do with how we see our identities. In the Wells Fargo case, that might mean an employee could have separated their professional role from their personal life to avoid feeling bad about anything they do at work. Also, they may have justified acting badly with more ethical behavior outside of work. So, following are the lessons to keep in mind for all future managers. Lesson number one, mistakes happen. How are you going to deal with it? First, it is important to keep in mind that mistakes happen. We are all humans, and all humans, by definition, make mistakes. Some are intentional and some are unintentional, some are big and some are small. One universal truth is that they happen, and your job is to learn from them. Irrespective of the size of the mistake or your intention, once it happens, you have three options on how to deal with it: ignore it, lie about it, or own it. Lesson number two, own it. In the long term, the best approach is to own your mistake. Owning your mistake will help you thrive in life. The key part to owning your mistake is to recognize it and apologize it. It will also help you gain respect and earn trust from your peers. In today's day and age, people can easily tell when someone is disingenuous. When you lie about your mistake or ignore it, you are making another mistake and the situation only gets worse. Lesson number three, take massive action to fix it. Once you make a mistake, own it and apologize for it. You will be best served to take massive action to fix it. Action is a necessary part of the question because it shows that you are sincere and you want to fix it. Keep in mind, saying sorry is not enough, especially if the mistake is large. The action should be equal to the mistake. The massive action is a necessary step needed to rectify the situation. Thank you.